my name is Strange, and I believe that people should know the truth. We continue to publish secret, scary materials about the abduction of the Hutchinson family by aliens from outer space. If you haven't seen them yet, then the link to the playlist is now in the upper right corner of the screen. But as for me, I continue our terrible story. Dr. McD called in a patient at the clinic, Michael Hutchinson. A whole year has passed since he was installed here.
Have a seat, Mr. Hutchinson. How are you feeling?
It's fine, doctor. If my condition can be called normal. The doctor winced as if from a sore tooth.
I understand everything, and I guess a lot. 2 serious forces are involved. It seems to me that your stay here has saved you from...
From what?
From death. I do not know what happened to you then, but my experience tells me that what you said is true.
It doesn't make me feel any better. At first, Hutchinson was injected with powerful tranquilizers, depressed consciousness, and the work of the hemispheres of the brain. His pseudo-schizophrenia was treated, but then Dr. McD imposed a ban and everything changed. But those exercises dulled the suffering. Thoughts about his wife and child, extremely acute and painful, began to fade into the background. The fire and anger in his heart went out. Within a year, he realized that they were dead. They were no more. After the withdrawal of medication, Michael thought about running away, but then realized the futility of both thoughts and imaginary attempts.
I understand everything. The only thing I can do for you is to let you out of the clinic now, today. We will assume that you have gone into remission. The orderly will forget to close your room and leave the corridor, and your card, which we have entered, will disappear, because you will die of an attack of acute heart failure.
The doctor reasoned as if he were saying these words to himself, but Michael understood that the words were addressed specifically to him. I understand. The clinic was left behind, as well as the horror of forced imprisonment, powerlessness. All I can think about is my family and what happened back then. The past life was destroyed. Destroyed by circumstances that, like a raging ocean, picked up light splinters of life and sank. Only one floated out, and that one was twisted. The awakened heart and soul longed for revenge, for a fight, but with whom? Michael did not return to Washington. Before escaping from the clinic, Dr. McD helped with a small amount of money, indicated a person who could help with documents. And that's it. One autumn day, immersed in himself, who had become silent during the year of the clinic and subsequent wanderings, Michael sat on a bench in a city park in Atlanta, drank coffee, and stared in front of him. Did he think about life and his fate? Is unknown. An elderly woman sat down on a bench next to him, turned her head, and smiled affably.
Do you know there used to be a lake in this park?
Michael looked at the elderly woman absently and did not answer.
Swans swam on it. It was an indescribable beauty.
Michael looked at the woman and didn't know what to say to her. Suddenly, she looked him straight in the eyes, the gray, cold eyes of a man who had been through the greatest pain.
After all, my relatives were also kidnapped.
Michael's body trembled. His heart ached. There was not enough money to support his work. There was not enough for medicines, for a planned replacement of the rhythm driver. He resigned himself to this thought and prepared to die. But this woman's words pushed life into her heart with a spasm of pain. What? What did you say? The woman didn't say anything, but just handed Michael a small business card. She got up slowly and left. Michael looked at the neat piece of paper on which it was written.
We all know we care. 43 Elijah Avenue, basement tonight.
He looked up from his business card. The woman was walking along the path towards the exit from the park. My first impulse was to catch up with her, turn her around to face me and ask. But he read the card to the end. No need to catch up with anyone. 43 Elijah Avenue, basement. Evening. The basement was in semi-darkness, dispelled by a table lamp that stood on the floor. There were 6 chairs in a circle around the lamp. Apparently the conversation had been going on for a long time. When Michael went down to the open basement, there were already people sitting on the chairs. 5. The 6th was intended for him. Michael walked closer and saw the elderly lady he had seen in the park earlier in the day. She put her finger to her lips to signal silence and pointed to a chair. Michael sat down. Opposite him, a thin man with long arms and large palms spoke slowly and scratched the cuticles of his nails. Sometimes nervously clenched his fists.
My wife and I were vacationing in Aspen, in the mountains of Colorado. On the way back, as we were driving along the highway, we were abducted by Greys. They dissected my wife, cut off the pieces of her arms, legs. She was suffering, but they wouldn't let her die. They made me watch. I've seen everything. They let me go. After that, I dreamed of death.
An elderly woman put her hand on the man's head, stroked his hair.
You're among friends now, Bob. You're safe. We will find a way to fight them. We will take revenge.
Then the word passed to the young woman, who spoke in a barely audible, sibilant whisper, which was interrupted by a mute movement of her mouth, but then sounded again.
I was sleeping in my house. My husband was nearby. They kidnapped me, the Greys, and raped me on their ship. I remember every moment. I remember everything.
The young woman could not stand it and began to cry. That's how the word got to Michael. Everyone was looking at him, waiting, but he didn't dare. The old woman came up to him.
Michael, you are among friends, among people who will understand you. Don't be afraid.
For the first time in recent years, Michael burst into tears like a child. With tears, his soul was freed from hardships. He felt that he was really among people who would believe him and understand. He began his story by recalling details that poisoned his heart with bitterness. He rubbed his chest over and over again, overcoming the pain, but he felt on the edge. It is unknown from where, but the elderly lady knew about his insufficiency. She handed him an oblong nitrospray flask. After drinking, the heart let go a little. "Thank you. But who are you?" An elderly man in a sports hoodie came out of the darkness of the basement.
Today, we are the only united resistance against aliens in the United States. We collect evidence and prepare analytical information for each case. Now we can say with confidence that you, Michael, like Bob, the man pointed to the first thin man on the chair. They were subjected to a psychological experiment conducted by the Greys. They separate families or torture members of the same family in front of each other. What for? We don't know yet.
Michael was thirsty. Always when his heart let go a little, he was very thirsty. "But what are you going to do about it? After all, the government..." The man chuckled.
The government has been in league with them for a long time. After all, you know about it yourself.
Michael was silent. From the conclusion of a doctor working for the Resistance Center.
An observation device, a chip disguised as a tricuspidal valve of the heart muscle, was implanted in Michael Hutchinson's chest. It is not possible to remove the chip since it is involved in the work of the heart. Decontamination measures have been taken. Currently, the patient is stable. The rhythm driver and the stimulator of sinus node activity have been replaced.
6 months have passed since then. Michael became actively involved in the work of the resistance, collecting and systematizing information. Painstakingly, carefully. In the depths of his soul, he kept the thought that he would be able to meet his wife and child. This thought was inherent in all participants from the closed community. Even Bob, who convinced himself that his wife was alive and their meeting was possible. Michael wasn't interested in who the older woman and the man were at the first meeting in the basement. He just believed them. Dr. McD was sitting in the living room of a country house, enjoying a glass of orange juice and waiting for the arrival of his grandchildren. He nevertheless gained courage and determination and resigned. Dear Doctor on state support in his country house, what more could you want? The grandchildren will arrive soon and will splash in the pool all day, and in the evening please him, the old man, with their children's company and simple conversation.
Charles, can I get you some more juice?
Yes, dear, please.
My wife came out of the kitchen and straightened her apron. Then she returned to the kitchen, poured the juice into a clean glass, and brought it to her husband.
Are you enjoying the silence again? Turn on the TV. Maybe Trump is planning to build a new wall on the border with Mexico.
The man laughed. To him, a southerner and a conservative, the idea of a wall with Mexico gave enthusiasm. If only such a wall could be built in the middle of the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. It would be great. After all, Republicans in the government are also visited by sensible thoughts. Charles McD took the bullets from the TV. Everything is on the screen, as always. Fuss and all sorts of mess. So this time, a young announcer on CNN was talking about an emergency.
Today at 2 p.m., the head of the department in charge of NASA's innovative developments was killed near his home at the intersection of Elliott and Peachtree Streets. The deceased was shot with an automatic weapon in his car. The attacker fled on a motorcycle.
McD was looking at the screen. Some doctors were pulling a gurney with a corpse. The white blanket swayed, probably from the wind. A pale, bloodless face was revealed. It was the same inspector who had come to him at the Trocatero Clinic almost 2 years ago and made inquiries about Michael Hutchinson. It was him, without a doubt, Inspector Taylor. McD recognized him immediately. Michael managed to get away. He raced at full speed on the sports bike down the street. There in the alley, he threw out a compact machine gun, discharged it into the car of an inspector who sold his soul to alien scum. After that, he moved into a passenger sedan and then changed the car again already at the exit from the suburbs. I managed to get away. The inspector was just the top. Maybe he knew perfectly well who he was serving, but he was following orders. Characters even more smeared in all this shit. Who knew exactly what was going on and what the Greys needed? Michael clenched his fist. We'll get to all of you. From Dr. McDee's personal diaries.
I talked to Michael Hutchinson personally. After all, despite the fact that I am a good psychiatrist, I am also a good psychologist. I managed to find out something. Michael saw not only the light and how his wife was flying away in an unknown direction, as well as his child. When falling asleep, under the influence of Gambodrol, patient Hutchinson fell into a state of verbose delirium. I personally recorded about 16 hours. The dictaphone recordings are stored in a safe place that only my wife knows about. Someday the public will need this. Information about the devilry that is happening on our planet, beyond the control of ordinary people. Hutchinson encountered one of the eerie, inhuman manifestations of beings endowed with intelligence, but not belonging to our world.
From voice recordings. In the glow of the light that surrounded Daniel, I saw tall, long, elongated creatures. They seemed flat, non-existent, disembodied. Two of them pulled my wife by the legs, and then they took off with her, over the ocean. One of the same creatures carried my son. When I screamed, the fourth creature pointed an oblong object at me and something cauterized my chest. I felt something alive cling to me, and then froze somewhere under my heart. If you think that this is not proof of the existence of aliens, then you are right. There is much more evidence, and on our channel we will reveal all the secrets and evidence of their presence. Share this video on your social networks, because you need maximum publicity. And also subscribe to the channel and send me your stories related to aliens by email. You will find contacts in the About the Channel section. If I haven't answered you, then I'm still checking on you, because the special services of all countries have announced a hunt for me. But together, we will force the authorities to disclose all the information they have. After all, people should know the truth.